Are even at 6 apiece, and it's interesting in that Seattle was upset by Kansas City and San Diego's played the Broncos well. The two teams that are leading in that turnover table had the table turned on them today.
You can't lose your concentration. Very often that's what turnovers are for you. A lot of interceptions for Craig in that game against Kansas City today, and the Charger defense has the turnovers today. Two of them, they led directly to 2 Charger field goals, and of course that's all they got in the way of points in this first half. And that Charger defense, by the way, which has been so badly bruised and banged up and has not played that well early in the year. They suddenly are playing good football, except for the game they played against Pittsburgh. 52 points in that ball game. They have been playing very well.
They get some of their injuries back. The Walters and Birds, the corners, the starting corners, and the rest. They could be a tough team again next year.
They certainly don't have many players aside from the injured leaders left anyway.
Well, one man with a smile on his face, Rich Carlos, the kicker for the Broncos. He's even the count at 6. We'll be back after these words from your local station. And at Mile High Stadium in sunny Denver, Colorado, tied at 6. Rich Carlos will kick it off. James and Buford McGee deep for San Diego. Oh, he hit that one aplenty. And the Chargers will take the touchback. First half statistics.
Very low yardage for both teams in total numbers here as you glance down the list. The thing that will impress you, 126 for the Chargers and 155 for the Broncos. Turnovers. We talked about that at the half. The Chargers have given up 0 to a team that's number 2 in the NFL in that category, and have been able to get 2 of their own. Time of possession is evened out. That was very uneven in the first quarter there.
As the Broncos came back to get their 2 field goals on long drives in the second quarter. Joyner in motion. Ed Luther for the injured Dan Fouts. Underneath, Ernest Jackson. Good yardage, 35-40, and it's a 41-yard line for number 41, Ernest Jackson, a 21-yard pickup.
You see on Jackson's right hand, he is still protected. Broke his hand against the Broncos in a game, I guess it was actually against the Raiders. And then he came back and played in that Bronco game. But here he does an excellent job of just swinging out of the backfield. Luther had him all the way, and that's a long handoff. Gets away from the linebacker. Steve Foley, number 43, the man that finally dumped him.
As he anticipated contact, he put it in his good hand, the ball. And Jackson again to the 45, a 4-yard gain. He is naturally left-handed, so in breaking the right hand, that was the good news. At least his better hand was healthy, and as soon as he sees contact coming, he tucks it away with the left hand.
This time of year, there are a lot of players who are injured. No question about it. Very few totally healthy. There are the numbers for the leading rushers in the AFC.
Counting today's first half, Jackson has taken the lead. Marcus Allen will play tomorrow night against the Lions. Freeman McNeil, his season is over. We have Greg Bell and Sammy Winder, the top 5. Jackson, the current leader. And chance for more. Flag down. That might have been 30-second penalty to lay a game.
We saw the cast on Winder's hand. Rulon Jones, number 75.
Number 60. Offense. Second down.
Dennis McKnight. Rulon Jones also wearing a big cast on that left hand of his. Broke that hand earlier in the year, and he said, I have a hard time cutting my food and holding a knife, but he said, I can play football. he's a character. He's the best pass rusher. The Broncos have not been able to generate great pass pressure from the front line. They've utilized, I think, 16 different people in the pass pressure. Then we get that stat, that team defense stat a little later.
Second down, 11. Luther to Duckworth, almost intercepted by Harden, who leads the team with 6 interceptions. The ball thrown behind Duckworth.
He's the one they're picking on over there. Harden has improved his performance a great deal, but they would still much prefer to go to his side of the field rather than go after Louis Wright, who has turned in another fine year here in 1984.
Up 3rd and 11, and Tom Jackson, the defensive signal caller, looking to the sideline. Luther starts with only Holohan, a tight end, in the backfield as a flanker. He beats him in the block. Down he goes. for the second time. Rulon Jones, that's his 9.5 sack of the year to lead the club.
We just talked about him, and there he is, right on cue. Using his good hand, Luther will go back. The blitz is on. Jackson coming inside, but Rulon Jones just fights his way through traffic on the inside. Masick and Wilkerson trying to block him. He just powered his way in. Number 77, Carl Mecklenburg, a linebacker who also jumped to a three-point stance, also in to help on that sack, working on Sam Clappin.
Maury Buford roots out a long one. Gerald Wilhite at the other end. And down he goes at the 15-yard line. 46-yard punt by Maury Buford. Broncos have the ball for the first time in the second half. They're tied at 6 in Denver. Dick Enver with Merlin Olsen. I want to go back to that sack. I want to use the telestrator. Watch Rulon Jones 75. This reminds me so much of Merlin Olsen in his heyday with the Rams, just crushing to the inside and then nimble enough to make a little spin out and right into the quarterback's left. Here comes Jones, spins out and makes the play. Well, that's right out of your textbook.
Well, I didn't teach him how to do that, although he did go to Utah State. He got a little training up there.
I knew you'd get that in. First down the Broncos. First possession, second half, a 6-all tie. Parrott and Winder in the backfield behind Elway. Draw to Parrott. Nice running out to the 24, a gain of about 9. Lucius Smith made the tackle.
I think he learned that at Utah State too, Dick.
Another Aggie. 5'11" and 200-pound Parrott. You know, these backs are like they're all out of the same mold. They're all around 5'11" and 200 pounds. Winder, Wilhite, Paris, even the backups. Chris Brewer's a little taller, but Jesse Miles at 5'9" and 200.
Early in the year, Winder carried a big part of the load. Here in the latter part of the season, Wilhite and Paris have played well, especially Wilhite. He's been a big performer here.
Equipment man loved it. He can just change the uniform, put new numbers on. They all wear the same size. Winder. First down.
One of the things that is terribly amazing about this stadium, Dick, this field is in such great shape, and we're looking at ground level across the field. This is a baseball field, not really a football field. There's no crown on this field. Most football fields crowned in the center. This one is dead flat. Now, the Chargers are used to that. Their field also dead flat going across. And sometimes when teams will go into a stadium like in Buffalo, I think there's an 18-inch crown on that field in Buffalo. And when your receivers go to the outside, sometimes you overthrow them. They drop off the hill on the far side.
It is a big adjustment. First down, Denver. 6-all tie, third quarter, 11.5 minutes remaining. Elway buying some time. And some more. Finally finds Wright, the tight end, and he has the first down at the 37. Jim Wright, he must really feel forgotten and forlorn. He looked at everyone in the entire stadium. He said, finally, hey, you never throw to me. I've been open. And he finally got the ball.
They call him Daddy. Daddy Wright. John Elway, showing you scrambling ability, will run out to his left side, and the Chargers feel that he is the most dangerous when he is running. There's Kay right at the bottom. It looked like he was open briefly. Elway's going to run back to the right-hand side. It looks like Butch is all alone. Look at Butch. He said, hey, John.
He said it was Jim Wright's turn.
Yeah.
First down at the 37. Oh, he drills that one to Johnson, and it was almost... I thought he almost intercepted it. What a catch! How did that ball get through the defender?
One of the reasons that Johnson can make that kind of play, he has very, very long fingers, very big hands for a small man. Controlled that football. It went right through the arms of Bill Kay. And watching him stretch the fingers out here a little bit. Do you think he plays the crowd a little bit there?
Just a share. 25 yards for Johnson. He's ready to do his orange moonwalk. He was in position for it. First down. Winder driving to the 28-yard line, and a gain of 9 more. Danny Winder yesterday at practice wearing a Texas Rangers helmet.
They showed clips earlier of that practice yesterday and how loose these players were. And one thing that we didn't get to talk about was the fact that Reeves and some of the players here, Tom Jackson, I think, mentioned it specifically, felt that, when you see the first down, felt that the practices had been so spirited prior to the last two games that they left part of their game on the practice field.
Otis Armstrong with the best rushing year ever for the Broncos. Floyd Little, great player for so many years. And now Winder has joined very select company. And he's been busy on this drive. Watson and Johnson both to the right. Jim Wright flips away to the left with Winder behind Elway. A 6-all tie. Winder again. Finally down at the 13-yard line. For Winder.
The Broncos caught San Diego sinking pass, and they hit them with the draw play. You see the pressure coming. They were blitzing Billy Ray Smith coming inside. Winder right through the area that he had vacated and using his balance to get a few extra yards. When you can hit a blitz with that little delay, you can sometimes get excellent yardage.
What a drive. 5 plays, 5 first downs. Gerald Wilhite to the 4-yard line and 9 more yards before Mike Green can make the stop.
Wilhite literally ran right out of the arms of Lucius Smith. You'll see it here. He dipped into Smith right here and then outside. Gave him a little limp leg. That's a fine move. As I said, Wilhite has really been a spark plug for these Broncos in the last few ball games.
Elway came almost to the sidelines to talk with Dan Reeves about the call here. It's 2nd and 1 at the 4.
They're trying to get this crowd to quiet down so that the Broncos can hear the count.
5 on the 30-second clock, 3 on the 30-second clock. Just gets it off, and Winder has a touchdown.
After being shut down on so many drives in the first half of this ball game, the Broncos finally able to put a very fine long drive together. 8 plays, 85 yards, eating up 5 minutes and 13 seconds off the clock.
6 rushes and 2 passes. Carlos' try for point is good. And what was impressive about that long drive, if you've ever seen backs run any harder than Winder and Wilhite and Parrish, and it gets Denver the first touchdown of the game. You talked earlier, Merlin, about all the injuries to the Chargers, and it's contagious. It's caught the coaches, too. Tom Bass has a torn bicep muscle. Al Saunders has 3 broken fingers. Jim Wagstaff, the defensive backfield coach, has pulled a muscle, and it's been incredible. And how it happened is kind of interesting, too. Bass tore his bicep when he fell into the kicking net. Al Saunders, broken fingers. Coryell slammed the door on his 3 fingers of his hand. And the other coach, Wagstaff, got so excited in the Miami game that he pulled a hamstring running to the locker room for the celebration.
I walked into their coach's locker room. They said, this is the training room in here. So,
but they're all in full battle gear today. Whoops, a mix-up. Luther to Jackson. Louis Wright. 4 times an all-pro corner. He had it all the way.
The timing never did come together on that play, and this is when the Denver defense is toughest. They get a little edge on you. They just come off on you. Watch the bump here. Luther bumps into Wayne Morris, the back right there, and then trying to sucker the defense in a little bit. Didn't get any part of Louis Wright. He was right on top of that play.
Loss of 6.
Well, hard to hear the signals now.
hurt him. And it's a big gain as Holohan plows to the 42-yard line. Busick and Dennison tracked him down after a 28-yard play.
Dan South, of course, famous for this kind of pass, and the Chargers famous for utilizing their tight end, Holohan, the H-back, really in their pattern. He's the man that comes in motion, just coming up through the seam in the defense. And Luther did a good job of getting that ball to him. Holohan showing us some good power as a runner.
He's had a year. Those 3 catches give him 50 for the season. Ernest Jackson drawing a crowd of orange, led by Tom Jackson. Jackson and Jackson in a Stonewall play.
We don't have 5. We could have the Jackson 5 if we had 5 of those guys.
Well, they wanted to be here, but they were busy.
There's Tommy Jackson.
Watson, Jackson, and Johnson, our 3 sons. Well, Ernest Jackson, hardly adopted by the Denver fans, but boy, San Diego pleased with the development of Ernest Jackson. He bodes well for their future. Second and 8. Holohan over the middle. There he is. The umpire gets an assist on that one. 2-yard play, and that tough position, the umpire right in the thick of it.
Get a chance to watch him in action. I think that's Ben Montgomery in there. Now that's the lineman. Where's the umpire? He's in there somewhere. Gets run over by that play. He's got to make room for those players on the inside. No chance. That is Ben. That's Ben Montgomery. Yeah.
Oh, that's the toughest job in all officiating. You're right there in the middle. There, see where he is, just behind the linebackers, and he's got to watch for holding. He doesn't see those bodies flying all around him.
Not unusual to get stepped on and injured back there.
3rd and long for Luther. Underneath and a first down at the 41-yard line to Jesse Bendross. The rookie from Alabama, his 2nd catch today, 14 for the year, and he gets 14 yards on the play.
The Chargers have come right back after that long drive by the Broncos for the score. They got one of their own going here, and Luther, I think, really showing much more poise in this ball game than he did early, although he played extremely well against the Chargers last Monday night. Last year, it seemed rather rattled in the games last year. He's matured a great deal since then.
Time, and there's the open man, Duckworth at the 25, and another first down.
I asked Don Coryell early this year, I said, what would you do if Dan Fouts went down? I said, God forbid I would never want to see that happen, but would you have to change your offense with Ed Luther? He said, no, we'll run the same patterns, we'll do the same thing. He said, I don't expect that Luther, at least in the starting, would be able to do what Dan Fouts can do. Fouts is a magnificent quarterback, but we will ask him to do the same kinds of things. And you see him doing some of those same things here today.
He's 5 for 5 passing on this drive. Ed Luther. Buford McGee. Oh, that was a aggressive defensive play by Steve Foley, the veteran from Tulane in his 9th year, former college quarterback with the Green Wave. Oh, he met the play in the hole in a hurry.
Foley, one of the leaders back there, certainly the leader of that secondary, has had his finest year ever. He is a tough son of a gun.
The Chargers have not enjoyed much success in the 3rd quarter. Outscored today 7-0, but they're driving for some of their own with 3:35 left in the period. Position as another 75, Jones, Deacon Jones of the Rams.
That's the kind of play that Deacon made so often from the left side of the field. Rulon just running right around Sam Clappin, using his speed. He's not a power rusher, he's a finesse rusher, just using his quickness to get around Sam to the outside, and that's the blind side for Luther.
3rd and 17. Luther has found Joyner for a first down. Has Luther been brilliant on this drive? How many times long yardage? He's come up with a perfect throw.
Charlie right in the middle of a whole patch full of Denver Broncos on that play. I don't think that was a well-advised pass. He was well covered, but Luther got it in anyway.
Ranked 27th and 25th, the defenses of these two teams.
But look at the lower stats. The Chargers have given up 24 TD passes. The Broncos only 13. Both these teams talk about bend but don't break. The Broncos have done a better job of not breaking.
Now here's another test. Ernest Jackson up the middle for about 4 to the 9-yard line.
And this is the area of the field in which the Broncos have been toughest. They've been tough to score on when you get down inside their 20 and down inside the 10. The field shortens up, gets a great deal smaller. And these Broncos have a great deal of confidence in themselves. I think very often that's the critical, you see the signal going in from their leader, Joe Collier. He'll get them pumped up.
9 yards away from a tying touchdown of the Chargers. It's 2nd and 6. Flag flying, and Buford McGee is to the 3-yard line. Maybe the 2 before Wright and company can make the tackle, and it appeared that Luther had drawn the team offside with a stuttered cadence count. That's right.
That'll be an interesting choice now. Do you take the 5 yards and have it 2nd down and about 2.5, 3 yards to go? Or do you take the gain and it will be 3rd and about a half a yard to go? That's not an easy choice to make.
I think I'd take the penalty.
Dan Reeves not happy at all on the sideline. Disappointed last week in the way his offense has played, that his defense really only had one bad drive last week, a drive that they felt they could have stopped. In fact, Dennis Smith dropped a couple of passes that were in his hands, and a couple of other players had a chance to stop the drive. But offensively, very disappointed. I think has to feel better about the way his offense has played today.
Reeves perhaps feeling that the quarterback had a bit too much influence and should have been guilty of a 5-yard penalty himself.
Yeah.
Number 57, defense.
Tom Jackson, an emotional player and eager. And indeed, you saw Reeves lowering his head, saying he's jerking his head to draw the defense offside. We can watch and see if he'll do that on this next play as well. He probably won't now. He knows the referees are watching.
They take the penalty, so it's 2nd down and about 2.5 for a first down. Jackson right to the goal line and stops just shy of the end zone.
Let's watch that play develop in the backfield. Right here, Ernest Jackson from his position is just going to take that ball and rip right into this hole. Watch the way this play develops with the blocking of Morris, number 25. Little toss to Jackson. Busick coming over, Foley coming over, but great blocking, especially by Morris, number 25. He's the guy that really has made a tremendous difference in the way he's been able to block for this offense.
1st and goal at the 1-foot line for San Diego. Buford McGee didn't make it.
It looked to me like he was in the end zone.
They haven't signaled. They are marking it right at the goal line.
They came straight at the defensive line, right up the center of the line. You're looking right at Luther. He hands it off inside. Buford McGee is, it's hard to tell from that angle. Good defensive play by the linebackers.
Look at how they get down low. Look how those linemen, offensive linemen, just all submarining, just the reverse of what you expect the defense to do. They're down low.
Well, the philosophy there is sending defensive linemen underneath and the linebackers over the top. I think they'll go outside. No, right straight up the gut again.
And McGee doesn't make it again. It'll be 3rd and goal.
What a test. Looking down the line. Watch the 2-line search. Those blue helmets underneath. And right there, you see the Busick, number 58, diving over the top of the sack. Louis Wright, number 20. And the philosophy worked ideally. They cut the legs out from underneath the linemen, and then the linebackers over to the top to make the stop.
And that'll be the end of the 3rd quarter in Denver. So the fans at the other end will be cheering for this goal line stand. 13-6 Broncos. We'll be back after these messages from your local station. Goes orange and blue, that sky blue and the orange decorated crowd. It's Third and goal inside the 1. Gonna go wide this time. Jackson does not make it. It'll be 4th and goal. Merlin, 50 times this year, opponents have had goal to go against Denver, and they've stopped them now 41 of the 50 times. They're amazing.
And they'll have another chance as Don Coryell elects to go for the 7-point on 4th down.
He doesn't make it again. They stopped him on the skid.
I think he may have made it. Unless someone touched him. It looked like he skidded into the end zone. They're going to say he was touched.
And the crowd celebrates. It's a great goal line stand by the Broncos.
It looked to me like Jackson slipped on his own, and he ends up crawling into the end zone. If he was touched there, then he's down. It looked like they may have touched him. But watch Jackson. If he can keep his feet, he'll get into the end zone on this play. He slips. He crawls. Sticks that ball in the end zone, but it won't count.
Ernest Jackson thought he had a touchdown. It remains 13-6. A goal line stand. Broncos stopping the Chargers 4 times inside the 1-yard line. Now, Jackson, indeed, at the tail end of the play, it didn't seem that anyone touched him, but he may have been touched. Well, here it is at the tail end. Is he touched here as he makes his cut? Incidentally, does any Bronco make contact there? Certainly it would be a tough call at best.
Well, if they touched him incidentally, it still counts. Right. But he was able to get into the end zone. If he slips on his own, he can get back up and run.
It's academic now as the Broncos take over at the 1-yard line. And he barely got out of the end zone. Other score, the Houston Oilers making things difficult on the Rams, 20-16 in the third quarter. We understand Eric Dickerson is over 100 yards today in pursuit of O.J.'s record.
Running up a storm. We talked early in the year about the growth of the Houston Oilers and how it would take time for them to come together under Hugh Campbell and working Warren Moon into that offense. Over the last 4 or 5 weeks, they have indeed started to play the kind of football that indicates that people won't be able to take them lightly in the future.
They've won 3 of their last 4, and they're pressuring the Rams today. 2nd and 8 from his own end zone. And the Chargers say they've recovered a fumble, and the officials agree. San Diego has just recovered a fumble, I believe. At least that was the signal I saw.
The 3rd turnover of the day, if it's true. 2 fumbles and an interception. Yes, there it is. San Diego's offense marching out onto the field. And it looked like the Chargers were going to be denied their touchdown. They've got a second shot at it now from the 4-yard line. Looking from behind. Little toss out to Winder. Looks like he's got good blocking on the outside. Let's see what happens in there. That ball just squirted away early. Who's that, 62? No, that's 92. Eric Williams, the linebacker. Hard to see the number. Doesn't get a chance to play very often. They're using the short yardage or goal line defense against the Broncos, knowing they were going to run the ball, try to give themselves some room.
Boy, turnabout is fair play. The Broncos, who have had a field day in that turnover table, just as Seattle has, the top 2 teams. But today, it's just the reverse, as Kansas City had 6 interceptions. We don't know about fumbles, and they're upset at Seattle. And now San Diego 3-0 in the turnovers. And the Chargers now have a chance to tie. Recovery. The Chargers with excellent field position compared to the Broncos, but never starting a series quite this neatly at the 4 of Denver.
Well, all 3 of those good field positions really inside Denver territory by turnover, Dick. All 3 of them.
2 fumbles and a pass interception. Another chance
for the pass, I think. I think they're going to throw the ball here.
They couldn't run it, so they're going to try to pass it wide open. McGee, touchdown, San Diego.
Coryell himself says, why didn't we do that before? Well, when you get down inside that 1 yard line, your thinking has to be, we've got 4 shots and we can hammer it in. Well, right here, Luther goes over the top. Buford McGee gets open, tucks it away.
And that was not as easy a throw as it might have first appeared. He had to get it over the stretch. Look at here, that defender was very close, Dennis Smith.
That's the finesse. Luther's developing that.
Now the extra point to tie it up. Benerska is through, and with 13 minutes and 41 seconds left, fourth quarter, they're back on even again. 13 for the Chargers and 13 for Denver. Welcome back to Mile High Stadium in Denver. Dick Enberg and Merlin Olsen were in the fourth quarter. Minute and a half gone, tied at 13. The Heaters, present early, and they almost seemed ludicrous as warm as the day was, but the temperature chilling a bit as the sun sets on this beautiful day in the Rockies. Sammy Winder fumbled on his last carry, and he's out to about the 33, a gain of 4. Billy Ray Smith leading the defensive charge.
We asked why they had those heaters on the sideline, and the answer was you can't always tell about the weather here in Denver. Remember the game we did, Dick, a New England game several years ago? Started the game, looked bright, crisp, and clear, and we ended with about 6 inches of snow on the ground here. So they believe in being prepared here in this cold country. By the way, even though it's nice and warm down here, they've got plenty of snow on the mountains. They're skiing in the hills here above Denver.
Beautiful snow-capped Rockies you saw in our opening shot. 2nd and 6. Pressure on. Watson. Yeah, there's your clutch receiver, bad back and all. And Elway showing some courage. He threw out of a big crowd.
I've got to believe that because of Watson's back problems, they've kind of left him alone a bit. Single covered by Lucius Smith, and Elway makes the decision to go after him. They tried to blitz Elway on that play. He got good protection, good pickup by the offensive line of the Broncos, and Elway able to get that ball to Steve Watson. And I'll say it again, I'm amazed that Watson is still out on that field. We mentioned the back injury and the fact that yesterday he was finally able to tie his shoes after going down with back spasms earlier in the week.
Left guard Keith Bishop has just limped off. We also should note that Woody Lowe is not in the defensive alignment for the Chargers. He was hit in the eye for his wife Linda. Not serious, but he will not play the rest of this game.
Well, we've got 2 rookie guards in there, Freeman and Freeman and Cooper. Howard and Bishop usually in there, both on the sideline, and there's a holding call.
So the tight end Clarence Kay, but it probably won't count.
You've got to believe it's one of the rookies there in there trying to handle responsibilities they don't get many shots at. Well, indeed.
Mark Cooper, 63, was the man who reacted.
Yeah, he's saying, no, I didn't do it, but
Jerry Mark Bright.
Face mask foul. Number 63, offense. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Foul against Cooper on Chuck Ian. You'll see him right here. Watch it. Here's Cooper, and here's the man he's going to end up locked up on. Turn it loose, and he'll drop back. Oops, I take it back. He goes the other way. He gets Billy Ray over there. Looked like he was going to stay on this side, but he grabbed Billy Ray by the face mask, pulled him down. That's a no-no.
Left knee is the word on Bishop. We do not know how serious. 1st and 15. Elway has to scramble. Gets away from Green. Gets away from Ian. And out of bounds at the 46th of San Diego. Look at Green way back at the 33. Can't believe he couldn't get him.
John Elway is an excellent athlete. He just ran right out of the arms of a very quick linebacker. We've seen Green run some backs down from behind. Elway also knows how to work that sideline, got as much as he could before he streaked out of bounds.
Now they're saying cramps of the left leg for Bishop. That's better news for Denver fans.
Definitely good news. Bishop, by the way, snaps on field goals and extra points. He's a man you don't want to have in trouble.
Remember, he limped out in the Raider game that they won in overtime. He couldn't play, but he could get into snap, and that was crucial. Full blitz. And Winder to the 42, Tim Fox. was coming in on a Red Dog from a safety position, and Fox and Elway, Fox was looking forward to that opportunity because he and Elway have been in a verbal battle all week long. There's Tim Fox from Ohio State. He had his own thoughts about Elway. He compared him to John McEnroe. He says he's our tennis McEnroe.
Well, Fox kind of started this thing in that game out in San Diego. He was just kind of shooting his mouth off a little bit. He yelled at Elway. He said, throw one to me. He's thrown one to everybody else.
We call him the Big Brad. I guess the Big Brad can't take a joke in terms of our kidding him. Well, I'm sure it wasn't just little kidding. Elway had indicated earlier in the week that he wanted most of all to burn Fox. He was going to go after him. Winder. So the 36 gain of about 5 more for Sammy Winder. Mike Green makes the stop.
Here's what John Elway had to say after reading what Fox had to say. This is almost soapbox.
Now, does that really, do players really get that seriously involved, or is this just newspaper talk?
Well, Dick, I'll tell you, as a player, I always believed that one of your responsibilities was not to give the other team that kind of information, anything that would fire them up. I said, let them get up on their own. I don't want to give them something that's going to get them fired up. But I was not, I was one who believed in that. There were a lot of guys who didn't think that was the way to do it.
Winder carrying tacklers with him to the 33. He'll be short of the first down by at least a yard. Deacon was that first and fourth, and yeah. Deacon would talk a little, wouldn't he?
Well, Deacon Jones would have his own press conferences, and I'd hear him clear from the other end of the locker room. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. I said, Deacon, hold it down. Don't you say I. Deacon, say don't get me into this. Well, I guess the most famous quote of that kind, talking about opening your mouth, was Namath prior to that Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
Back in '63. I guarantee you, we're going to. And then he went out and did it. Well, if you can back it up, it's not bragging, and it worked in that case.
It's fortune making is what it is.
Yeah.
Well, the Broncos in a tie here with 9.5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. A big third and a long one. Elway.
He's going to be close. Little sneak. They weren't getting anywhere. Second effort by Elway, but I don't know where they're going to mark it.
Tim Fox has his nose in the huddle there telling him where to spot it.
We haven't heard a great deal from Ferguson today over on that right side. He's the best pass rusher for the San Diego offense, working on Dave Studdard at number 70. Studdard had an interesting comment in an earlier ball game against the Raiders. He got hit in the head, and he was having blurred vision, and I asked him, he stayed in the game for quite a while. I said, was that dangerous? He said, well, it was for Elway. He said, I couldn't see the block.
Oh, my. Far short of the first down, or at least in this situation, it is now a foot.
Dan Reeves making the call. It looks like he's going to gamble in this situation. We saw Coryell gamble earlier on a fourth down on the goal line and get shut down. He's hoping that maybe Reeves will get some of that medicine here with a fourth down gamble of his own.
Well, you got to guess this isn't another quarterback sneak. This could well be the game in a 13-all tie.
The Broncos 4 for 5 in fourth down situation. Let's see what they do on this sixth attempt.
Both Harris and Winder behind Elway. It's Harris. First down and more to the 23.
An excellent block. Watch it from the outside. Number 87, right, will be coming right in here to block inside. It's the H-back coming inside right there. Billy Ray Smith. Look at that big hole. They just pushed the stack over backwards. And Harris able to take advantage of the blocking on the inside.
Keith Bishop back in the game, re-injured on the play. It was Cooper who was injured on the play and really favoring that left knee.
The man on the side, one a little short of Harris, Steve Antonopoulos, the trainer. I can tell you, really a wonderful trainer. He's father confessor, does a lot of things for this team besides keep their bodies healthy.
They got 9 yards on that 4th and 1. A first down at the 23, draw to Harris. He has about 3 yards, maybe 4. Well, the Raiders at home, they played them around Monday night in Pontiac, but next Sunday, that'll be a big game here on NBC. It's our doubleheader. They're the early game, starting with NFL 84, Buffalo, Cincinnati. Of course, Cincinnati looking for the playoffs. Jets in Tampa Bay, an exercise. Colts in New England, the same now. New England's out of the playoffs, and Cleveland will play at Houston. teams looking ahead to next year. But the late games, Pittsburgh and the Raiders and Kansas City and San Diego. And Pittsburgh and the Raiders out at the Coliseum, and I understand there are some tickets available for that.
That should be a whale of a ball game.
Elway just elude the rush. Oh, that could have been. Was it caught? Incomplete. And Clint Sampson thought that he was hit early. John Turner, 27, was inside his jersey.
And how often the athletic skill and the mobility of a quarterback can turn what would appear to be a negative play into a positive play. Elworth, it looked like a sure sack here, but he just uses his mobility to get outside, and then with Lyndon King bearing down on him, fired a straight shot to Sampson. Sampson, by the way, that's another story. Hit so hard in the Buffalo game earlier in October, they thought that initially that he might even be dead. Here he is back in the game, catching the tough passes.
Third down, short 6. Complete at the 9-yard line to Watson. Again, Merlin, how do you figure? Here's a man that couldn't tie his shoes, Steve Watson, 2 days ago.
And a couple of things to look for. A lot of pressure on this man. Billy Bryan, the center, has to snap the football and then goes back as the option blocker, working on Keith Guthrie, number 73, to keep him off the quarterback. And there, Elway, with time, throws the strike, uses the good strength of his arm. He can throw this fast just with a zip. I mean, he fires that ball, and it's off so quick, you can't adjust to it.
First and goal for the Broncos, trying to break this 13-all tie. Winder gets very little. Elway now looking to the sidelines, and one has to figure on second and goal from about the 7 that a pass play is the call. And look at the Chargers. 1, 2, 3, 6 new men coming on the field as they're looking past. Word now that Cooper has an ankle injury. Mark Cooper, the man you saw just helped off the field.
It indicated early in the game that Cooper was in place of Paul Howard. Howard, of course, the regular at that position with a hamstring, unable to play, but definitely better news than a knee. It looked like a knee initially.
Puts Johnson in motion. They're looking for Johnson. And so are the Chargers. Number 31, Bill Kay, there to make the hit after only a 2-yard gain.
This is, as is the case so often late in the season when not too many of the bodies are really healthy. Howard, with the bad hamstring and all, goes out to take that right guard position and was out there helping to protect the quarterback on that last play.
Elway's numbers on the day, no touchdowns, 1 interception that led to a Charger field goal. Ball's right on the 5-yard line, third and goal.
Now we've seen a dramatic goal line stand by the Broncos today. The Chargers would have that same kind of thing in mind here.
Wilhite joins Winder in the backfield.
They're blitzing, full open.
Fumble, and the Chargers have recovered at the 17-yard line. It appeared to be Keith Ferguson who fell on the loose ball as they had an all-out jailbreak.
There was no way to block as many people as the Chargers were sending. We'll have a chance to see it here. Watch the 2 safeties, Andre Young and Fox. They're going to be coming right up the middle, and there's no way to pick them all up. Not enough people to block, and it's Andre Young right on top of Elway. Knocked the ball away as Elway tried to get his arm back. 76 Ferguson right there to scoop up the football.
4th turnover to none. And that's just the reverse of the season statistics. So now it's the Chargers trying to break the tie in their favor. The war games of football. They knew that the 3 guards for the Broncos were nicked and injured. They sent their 2 safeties right through those slots, forced the fumble, denying the Broncos what would have been an easy field goal. And San Diego takes over at the 17. It's tied at 13, 6:24 left. Luther going for the long one to Wes Chandler. Almost intercepted by Dennis Smith. Luther threw that ball about 70 yards in the air.
Unfortunately, he threw it to an orange shirt. Dennis Smith, as we've mentioned, a couple of footballs in his hands last week against Kansas City, couldn't handle them. Looked like he might have been able to handle that football, but I think he was bumped by Wilson right at the end while he was trying to juggle it. Here it is right at the end. Does not totally control the football, and I think he's bumped right there by his own man and knocked that football away. Steve Wilson, number 45, and I think he was knocked by Wes Chandler, who was playing defensive back on the play.
Smith had a pretty clean shot before the contact occurred. Bobby Duckworth, speed burner, bottom of your screen. Holohan in motion. Luther to Holohan. Smith on the coverage.
We mentioned earlier in the broadcast that neither Holohan nor Sievers had been a part of that earlier game in which the Broncos were able to come back with a long drive to win 16-13. There's Cooper on the sideline with ankle injury. They're not taking any chances. Trainer Steve Antonopoulos has got crutches for him, heads in for the sideline. And the Denver defense, they're thinking turnover right here. Pressure is on them right now, and they have responded well in this season to pressure.
Look at their lineup. They're putting just about every orange jersey but two on the line of scrimmage. 9 men up close. Almost picked off by Mike Harden, intended for Joyner.
This is where it gets tough for a quarterback like Ed Luther. He hasn't had that many opportunities to play under this kind of pressure. In that situation, the pass just slightly off cue and almost into the hands of the defense.
The Cowboys had led in that game 21-6, but the Redskins, with a big rally, now are up by 2 against Dallas.
With this kick from Luther's, Buford's 3-yard line, he's lined up on a 3. Broncos will have pretty good field position.
Buford scuffed one earlier, not this one. Oh, beauty. Wilhite all the way back to his 26, 40, 49-yard line. Buford may have outkicked his coverage 58 yards, but a 24-yard return by Wilhite. Including a 50-yarder, a career high. He's wearing a shoe on the barefoot at the moment. Of course, he kicks barefooted. There you see it. Last year, it was 24 below zero chill factor in Kansas City. He wore a very thin sock rather than barefooted and kicked a field goal. Next week, he was on the streets. A woman stopped him and said, "You wimp."
You can't win.
Meanwhile, 49 at Denver. The Broncos in a 13-all tie. Harris to the 43-yard line. Let's run down all the scores of this next to the last weekend of the season. Pittsburgh still alive in the Central, although the pressure on from Cincinnati. They won as well. Seattle really upset by Kansas City, who upset Denver last week. St. Louis, a big game, beating the Giants. New England is out of the playoffs, losing at Philadelphia. Chicago loses again, this time to Green Bay, and Miami rallies to take Indianapolis. Dan Marino had 4 more touchdown passes, 44 for the sensational Miami quarterback. Harris, nothing at the 42-yard line. He's short of the first down. Rest of the scores. Cincinnati, also 3-point win at New Orleans. Comes down to the final week in the Central. Tampa Bay beats Atlanta. Washington now a 2-point lead at Dallas. And Houston making it tough on the Rams. Rams at home lead by 4. Here it's tied at 13. Ball at the 41-yard line. They'll measure, but it appears to be short.
Game taking on some of the close characteristics of the earlier game, a low-scoring game in San Diego. We mentioned that Elway able to take the Denver Broncos on a long drive late in the 4th quarter. And Fouts came back, brought his team back, 31 seconds, took him down the field, got Rolf Bernurska a chance. Unfortunately, not able to get that ball through the upright.
Well, color New Year's Day in the Peacock colors. We've got 3 terrific games scheduled for you. As you see, Carlos getting that barefoot tuned up. Fiesta, the Rose and the Orange Bowl. A big football package for you to start the new year. 3rd and inches. Winder's got the first down inside the 40. Clock running. 4:30 left in the game.
Denver crowd responding.
Boy, the pressure, though, Merlin. Wouldn't you know it? Here's Carlos, the last 2 weeks, having to try to kick a field goal in the final seconds, hitting the uprights, and it appears, unless Elway's kind to his kicker and gets a touchdown for him, that he's going to be called upon for what might be another field goal try that could decide the game.
I got to believe, though, that he would respond well to that. I think he would like that opportunity, Dick.
He wants it. Winder. Ooh, some wicked hitting, and Winder out of bounds at the 32. Billy Ray Smith with a tackle, but 8 more for Winder.
You can sometimes hear good football as well as you can see it. And that pop on the sideline, a very tough one, as Winder was able to outrun Lyndon King. A little jog back inside, and a lot of times a good running back can freeze the defense just long enough to use his speed to get outside. That's exactly what Winder did on that play.
Clock stopped with 4 minutes on the nose left in this fourth quarter. Tied at 13. The mark to Watson as he hopped it about 5 yards in front of his receiver.
Elway not taking chances on that play. Again, you see him going to a receiver, Watson, that he has great confidence in. The fact that Watson is still operating with that bad back has hampered Elway, and it's hampered Reeves. Of course, Reeves, you see the papers in his hand. He calls the plays. He has them listed by down and distance. Of course, he knows that San Diego will be making a massive substitution. 6 defensive backs on the field. Now, wait a minute. In this case, 5 defensive backs. They kept 2 linebackers in. Billy Ray and Lyndon King. 5 defensive backs, 4 defensive linemen. They'll be coming after Elway on this play.
Elway. 30. And out of bounds at the 23-yard line. 9 more yards for Elway, who's come up with a couple of key scrambles today.
Coming into this game, Elway had rushed 40 times for an average of 4.3 yards. Very few quarterbacks run with that kind of effectiveness. I'm sure very few coaches appreciate their quarterbacks running that much, but Elway doing a good job of getting out of bounds after he got the first down. And I wonder what's going through Rich's head. Well, you see the little smile right there.
Somebody's kidding him.
So you mean it's down to this again?
Well, Elway would like to take some of the pressure off. Gerald Wilhite with a flag down. Nose dives after a no-gain effort. Lucius Smith, who's had an excellent game at that corner, made the tackle. Motion Denver.
Mistakes in the form of turnovers, in the form of fumbles and interceptions that really have hampered the Broncos today, and that here is the penalty.
How do you figure? You would think that it's the Chargers or the Chiefs who are out of it would make the mistakes, not the 2 teams contending for first place.
I got to believe that part of it is pressure.
Illegal motion, number 24. He was in motion toward the line at the snap. First down.
Rick Peros, who doesn't really have that many opportunities to play, and he turned up too quickly as he came in motion. But I think very often it's pressure that really causes you to lose a little bit of concentration. The Chargers out there very loose. They have nothing to lose out there. They can gamble as much as they want, and I think it has helped their performance. I think that play down on the goal line, typical of that. They just threw it all to the wind and said, let's go.
Now 1st and 15, and the Chargers come in with an extra defensive back. Pressure on. Sampson, he's got it.
He's short of the first down.
Not by much. 15 yards, it appears. It's right at the yardstick.
I think he'll be a little short, Dick. It's going to be interesting to see what's called here now. They may have to. No, they're not even going to measure.
Turner makes the play defensively. It'll be 2nd and inches.
This is the kind of down that you have an opportunity, if you want to go for all of it. You feel like you ought to be able to get that many yards in a single shot, but of course that's what San Diego thought earlier down on the goal line.
3:39.
No rest.
There we go. Hit from behind is by Keith Ferguson at the 8-yard line.
Ferguson pursuing all the way across from the offside.
Yeah, the other factor here, too, could be that by staying on the ground, Reeves uses the clock. He doesn't want to give the Chargers the ball with too much time left. There's 3:15 now remaining in the quarter.
Well, one thing in his favor, he's not looking across at Dan Faust on the far side of the field. Faust is back in San Diego.
That's Wright lining up on the left wing. Right up the gut. Winder inside the 5. Mike Green, another tackle. Spirited second-year linebacker from Oklahoma State. There's Ken Green, the safety man, also in on the play.
No opening inside. Winder just took it back outside, got away from the lineman, but good job by the linebackers of shutting him down. Ball nosed up right on the 5-yard line.
2:29, and the clock running. You can feel the chill in the air now as the sun is set. Lights are on. Winder. Chill back at the 11-yard line, and Ken Green was the man who made the play as he shot up from a safety position.
Fox and Green, the safeties. Green up close. Billy Ray Smith coming from the inside out. They did an excellent job of getting to Winder before he had a chance to do anything.
I think I saw the Chargers call timeout here with 2:15 left.
Well, they might be anticipating that.
You figure a field goal anyway.
Yeah, at least a field goal.
Now Rich Carlos takes a deep breath as well he has. We'll be back. Rich Carlos, he has to figure that he's going to get another chance to redeem himself. This is what happened last week in Kansas City. 44-yarder. It started right down the middle. Then the wind caught it, drifted, and almost drawn magnetically to that upright. No good, and the Chiefs prevailed by 3.
You've got to believe, Dick, that he is standing on the sideline hoping that he can wipe that particular image out of his mind. I will bet you that he woke up several times during this week with that same picture playing in his brain.
After hitting the upright 2 weeks ago in the Seattle loss. 3rd and goal from the 11. Incomplete, intended for Watson, and it was Tim Fox on the blitz getting to Elway. So here comes Carlos with a chance to give his team the lead. It'll be a fairly short try, but it was a short attempt, about 25 yards that he missed 2 weeks ago, the same end of the field.
Steve Watson took a powerful hit to the back. I hope he wasn't injured on that play, but Carlos will have his opportunity.
Watson does jog off okay. This for the lead, a 28-yard attempt. He's 3 for 3 today, Rich Carlos. Second happiest player on this field today is probably Rolf Benerschka, the Chargers, his close friend, who most of all could identify with his travails of the past 2 weeks.
You have to believe there would be mixed feelings. Of course, Rolf would love to see his team go into overtime and perhaps have a chance to redeem himself from a miss in San Diego. Let's see what kind of reaction there is from Carlos. He's not an outwardly emotional player on the field. Well, I said it earlier. I'm sure inside he is jumping up and down.
Well, Benerschka may get his chance. 2:08 and plenty of time.
Right here, you've got to believe that Darn Coryell would like to have Dan Faust as ace quarterback. No one in the league handles this 2-minute drill better than Faust. Brings his team down the field so quickly. But let's give Luther a chance. Luther's had a chance to watch Faust do it for many years. Maybe he's picked up a little of that magic.
There's the playoff picture, including today's games. Miami now is assured home field throughout the playoffs. Seattle and Denver, regardless of the outcome of this game, will decide the AFC West next week. The Raiders should Denver lose today. The Raiders still have a chance. They're in the wild card. They're in the playoffs, but could get home field in the first game. Getting ahead of ourselves. final little train will take the touchback, 2:02. So San Diego will get one play off before the 2-minute timeout. I want to thank our director and producer, Ted Nathanson, Larry Cirillo. Another great job here in Denver. Our Costanza and Company in full force. In the booth, Al King, Ron Talfers, Ray Friedman, Cliff Dodge. Thanks to our men and women with all the pictures and sounds from Mile High Stadium. Dallas regains the lead at Texas Stadium, 28-23. St. Louis has defeated the Giants to scramble that NFC East. Whoever conceived the wild card really did a great service to the football fans of the NFL. It just brings everything down to the final game for so many. The Rams now open their lead against Houston.
Officials have had a brief timeout. I'm not sure exactly what they were doing. Maybe checking for the accuracy of the clock. We're 2 seconds away from the 2-minute warning. An advantage for the San Diego Chargers, who will get an extra timeout, really, in essence, a single play, and then the clock will stop automatically.
According to the scoreboard, the Chargers have used 2 timeouts, so they have only 1 left, plus the 2-minute warning. They don't get much there. Jackson for 4, and a timeout, 1:58. Denver Broncos have a 16-13 lead here at Mile High. This may be another in the book of fantastic finishes. Oh, that reminds us. 16-13 here in Denver. Let's go to New York. What's happening with Eric Dickerson?
All right, Dick. Moments ago, Eric Dickerson scores from 5 yards out for the Rams, gives them a 27-16 lead over Houston. More importantly, at least from an historical perspective, he has 206 yards today. And with 6 more, he'll pass O.J. The Rams have the ball again, 5 minutes left.
Oh, my. So Dickerson, who everyone thought would need 2 games, might well break it in front of the home fans in Anaheim. Here, 3rd down and 6. Swinging out of the backfield, Bendros, who has the speed to get out of bounds, and a first down at the 31. Stops the clock with 1:47.
Chargers with all kinds of offensive machinery. They literally have all the plays you can imagine. But the ones they need right now are the ones that stop the clock without utilizing that last precious timeout. We can expect to see more and more patterns that take the receivers to the sideline to stop the clock.
You wonder, in a way, why defenses don't play those sidelines more, but about the time you do, somebody breaks clean down the middle, and you're burned for 6 instead of 3.
Well, even if you have the sideline pattern called, if you see one open down the middle, you're free to take it.
Good protection down the middle. Oh, Wes Chandler was wide open at the 50-yard line. Oh, Steve Wilson not only was 5 yards away, but had Chandler caught that one, he was going in a direction that had all the Denver momentum going the opposite direction.
Steve Wilson right here. Chandler will come just from off your screen and break it across the middle. Wilson, believing he's going deep, is going to turn his back on him. Now here's the break by Chandler. Watch Wilson, turns his back right there. Chandler wide open, had a chance to catch that football, and that's unfortunate. Would have been a big aid to Luther. 2nd and 10.
1:42 left. Charlie Joyner thought he was knocked down at the 50. Apparently, the news is big in Anaheim. Let's share it. Go to Bob Costas in New York.
All right, Dick, thanks very much. This 9-yard run by Eric Dickerson in Anaheim, as you said, makes history. He goes past O.J. Simpson. He has 215 yards already today, unofficially 2007 for the season. Pete Axtone called it on the pregame show, said he'd do it today. Dick?
All right, Bob, thank you for updating us on some NFL history. O.J. Simpson steps aside. His single season mark broken by Eric Dickerson. Here in Denver, they're more concerned about the Broncos, who lead by 3, and the Chargers on 3rd down attacking. And again, Luther isn't close. And now San Diego down to its final play, unless they can pick up 10 yards.
Chandler, speed receiver. The man he's chosen twice on this series of downs. One time, Chandler with the chance to catch. That one well over his head. No opportunity. I wonder who Luther will go to here. The calls, as we mentioned, coming down from Ernie Zampese upstairs. I wonder if they might not go to the old toe, Charlie Joyner.
Joyner at the 45, but a flag is down, and we may have holding. Yes, we do, against the Chargers, and Joyner's catch in tough traffic is not allowed.
And Luther is limping. Luther went down, hit hard on that play.
Holding, number 77, offense, fourth down.
Very often, the pressure early in the game from Rulon Jones, number 75, has forced Sam Clappin to the limit, and in trying to protect his quarterback, grabbed a little too much cloth on that play. But what a disappointment for Charlie Joyner and for Ed Luther. They had the completion.
Now it's not 10 yards, but 20 on fourth down for the Chargers with 1:23 left. Chandler and Joyner to the left. Then Ross to the right. Surprisingly, not out of the shotgun. Down the middle, the Stever's incomplete, and the Broncos will get the ball. Tom Jackson and Dennis Smith make the defensive play.
Tremendous pressure on Ed Luther, and I'm sure a very disappointed Luther. Jackson chilled down on the field.
That was quite a collision as the three men, Smith and Jackson and the receiver, coming together simultaneously.
Luther getting tremendous pressure here from the outside. Mecklenburg, the man. That was Jackson hitting from the inside. I believe hit by his own man coming the other direction, but he's all right. He's up.
Boy, does this set something up for next Saturday afternoon. It'll be 3:30 in the East, 12:30 in the West here in the Rocky Mountain area. At 1:30 for NFL 84, and we'll have for you the battle for the AFC Western title. The Broncos will meet the Seahawks, each with identical records of 12-3. And the winner will have some of the advantages of the home field, at least in the first couple of rounds.
Talking about home field advantages, there will be some to the Kingdome, and the noise and the home crowd that will greet the Denver Broncos as they invade Seahawk country next Saturday.
Elway just takes the snap, and the Chargers spend their final timeout with 1 minute and 13 seconds left. So now it's academic. It's a matter of just having to snap the ball twice without a fumble, and Denver has the victory, 16-13, the same score that they beat the Chargers by down in San Diego earlier. When you think about the Chargers season, we have a lot of fans watching down that part of the country. This will be the fourth very close loss. 2 to the Raiders, 2 to the Broncos. They'll go 0-7 in the West, yet they were, 6-1 outside of this division. It again underlines how very strong the AFC West is.
It's been a disappointing year for Don Coryell, but a lot of good football from these Chargers. They've given us some of the most exciting games we have had all year.
There's the lineup next week, early games. And Pittsburgh, the Raiders, undoubtedly the most important game with playoff implications for both teams.
Someone a little eager on the line of scrimmage on that play, and I'm sure it's, I've been on both sides of the line of scrimmage, from teams that finished their season after the first 3 or 4 games to those that stayed on through the playoffs, and I'm sure this man is very happy that his team is one of the winning teams.
Second down again.
Rich Carlos, the man of the year for the Denver Broncos, and the man of the day today.
He's been the man of the day. He sure has.
Each of the NFL teams' fans vote for their man of the year, a man who's contributed to the community as well as to his football team. Rich Carlos was the Denver winner here in 1984. Barefoot and all. And today he kicked one first in the second quarter of 30 yards, came back to hit his career longest of 50 yards to tie the game at 6. And then with a score tied 13-all, he has won it in a perfect 3-for-3 day.
Got to be tremendous satisfaction for him. And for this city was rooting for him today. Everybody you meet wanted to talk about Carlos and the field goal.
Final score, Rams have beaten Houston 27-16 on Eric Dickerson Day in Anaheim. And there's the successful snap, and that will be it here at Mile High Stadium. The Broncos winning it 16-13. Let's watch Carlos and see. Yep, there's Benerska. And look at Benerska. He's happy for his fellow kicker. He called him and talked to him an hour this week to try to boost his confidence and his emotions. They, most of all, understand the pressure of the job.
Good camaraderie as these two teams walk out to shake hands. As close as this rivalry has been over the years, and as hard fought as this rivalry is, it is not a bitter rivalry.
The Chargers certainly challenging the Broncos as San Diego has played very hard and very well, despite the fact they've been eliminated from the playoff picture. And the Broncos now have said, we're ready for Seattle, and so are we. That'll be a great game next Saturday. We'll return to Mile High Stadium in a moment.